Have you ever been told to power pump when your milk supply drops? You try it, you pump for an hour on and off, do all the breaks, all the sets, and your supply still doesn't budge. Or worse, you end up sore, engorged, and totally discouraged, not to mention exhausted. Or maybe it does work and you get more milk during that session, and now this becomes a regular part of your life, being totally hooked to your pump forever, while regular sessions are still the same. I know power pumping is one of the most common pieces of advice out there and most common hack that people are sharing when you're struggling with low milk supply. But here's the truth. Power pumping isn't the magic fix it's made out to be. In fact, for many moms, it can actually hurt more than it helps. In today's video, we're going to break down what power pumping really does, why it might not be helping your milk supply, and what to do instead, so you can actually see results without burning out. Power pumping is meant to mimic a baby's cluster feeding, right? You pump, rest, pump again, usually for about an hour total. And the idea is that by stimulating your breasts more often, you'll trigger your body to make more milk. And in theory, I guess that makes sense. Your body makes milk based on supply and demand. So more stimulation, in theory, would give your body more signals to make more milk, and it would make more milk. But here's the problem. It's only taking into account half the problem. You need both effective stimulation and effective milk removal to encourage more supply. And for most moms, that's not what's happening. And that's the root of the actual problem here. If you're not pumping and removing milk efficiently, for example, if you have the wrong flange size, if the suction is too low or painfully high, if multiple letdowns aren't happening, you might be stimulating your breasts, but not actually emptying them. So you're sending half the signal, but not making any additional room there, and your bodies can't make more milk. I know I've talked about this before here on the channel, and I'll link this video down in the comment section for you if you want to check it out later, but producing milk and removing milk are two wildly different things. Think of it like placing an order at a restaurant. When you stimulate your breasts, you produce more milk. It's like placing an order and having the food get made in the kitchen. It's there, okay? You told them you were hungry, they made your food. But removing milk is when the waiter actually brings the food out to the table so you can actually eat it. Otherwise, it just sits in the kitchen and the cook can't make more orders until those are delivered. I know that might seem like a silly example, but a lot of moms have trouble understanding that besides telling their bodies to produce more milk, they also need to be able to bring that meal to the table. You need to be able to use your pump efficiently so that milk actually gets removed and your breasts are fully emptied. Otherwise, your milk supply is not going to change. Maybe it'll go down. That would be a change, I guess. We actually recently hosted a webinar, and one of the moms reached out with this question, and I think I answered it in the Q&A. You can watch the full webinar below because it was packed with info and insights on how to pump efficiently. She asked, when I power pump, I feel full and heavy, like my body's making more milk, but the milk never comes out. So when she power pumped, she ended up engorged, uncomfortable, and discouraged. This is one of the normal results when you do power pumping, which leads us to our next really important point here. Pumping more isn't the same as pumping efficiently. Power pumping is often pitched as a quick fix, but pumping more won't help if your technique is ineffective. If your pump isn't comfortable, if you're not getting multiple letdowns, if your nipples feel sore or swollen afterward, if you're stressed trying to find an hour out of your life to power pump every day, no amount of power pumping is going to fix your supply. So, is power pumping ever a good idea? Question of the day. Well, I'm not totally against power pumping. It does have a place, and I think it can be really helpful, but only really in one specific scenario. And that is if your pumping technique is already really solid, but you are struggling with letdowns. Let's say you've worked really hard to establish a good pumping technique. You have the right flange size, pumping feels really comfortable, you've got effective settings and techniques, your schedule is dialed in. If all of those things are aligned, but you're still struggling to get multiple letdowns in a pumping session, then a short burst of power pumping, even sometimes a modified power pumping session, as I like to call it, or mini power pumping session, can help you get multiple letdowns in a row while you're working on training your body to do that more quickly. So often we teach students to use this as a band-aid solution while working toward mastering their letdowns. But I wouldn't jump into power pumping as a first option. It's obnoxious. Think of it more like your in case of emergency tool while you work on mastering letdowns specifically. But if you haven't mastered your pump yet, power pumping is going to make everything harder and more frustrating. We teach mastering letdowns as one of the sections in our Pumping Efficiently course, by the way. And actually, as I'm sharing this with you, I can think of one other scenario where I might use power pumping. And that would be if you actually do need more stimulation to increase your milk supply. So if you have pumping dialed in and you're like, everything is good, I've walked through the whole proficient pumping pyramid, I know everything's working well, but from 4 to 6 p.m., I really want to increase my supply. Okay, maybe I can fit in a power pumping session there to both send more stimulation to my body to know it needs more milk and really well empty the breast during that time so my body can send more. All right, that might be one other area that I might suggest power pumping. But again, this is not a first step in my mind. We really need to master pumping well, because again, pumping incorrectly more often is not going to get you any more milk. Now, if you came to this video, chances are that you are struggling with a little bit of low milk supply. Otherwise, why would anyone put power pumping in their life? So what can you do instead of power pumping or before jumping straight into that? Here are a few quick tips of tried and proven strategies that can help you move the needle in your milk supply if this is something you're struggling with. Number one is make sure you're using the right flange size. With the right flange size, pumping should feel comfortable and your breast should be fully empty after each pumping session. If you need help learning how to measure your flange size, I'll talk more about that in the video at the end. Number two is work on mastering your letdowns. This is a huge piece and a big part of the power pumping equation. Ideally, you should be able to trigger multiple letdowns in a pumping session quickly and intentionally. If you can't, that's something to focus on. Number three, double check your suction settings. The suction needs to be strong enough to remove milk, but gentle enough that it's comfortable. A painful or uncomfortable pumping session can cause your body to block the milk ejection or even literally block the ducts that are coming out if your suction is really high. So it's important for you to be as calm and comfortable as possible. Number four, check your pumping schedule for consistency. Power pumping is not a substitute for missed pumping sessions. Frequency throughout the day is super important, not just the amount of time you spend on the pump. And most importantly, number five, support your mental health. Relaxation helps letdowns, while stress blocks the milk from coming down. Did I say that was the last one? There's actually 6. Okay, understand your milk supply patterns. Know when your body makes the most milk and when it's slower. Understanding your body can help you know if you're trying to fix an actual problem or if you're trying to fix a non-problem problem, as I like to call them. You don't need to get the same outputs at every session. Having realistic expectations and understanding your unique milk supply is also key in this equation. Now, when all those pieces are working, you'll see real results in your milk supply without having to chain yourself to your pump all day. We recently had a student in our Pumping Efficiently course who was convinced that she had a low supply problem. So she started power pumping every night after bedtime. She was exhausted, frustrated, and still not seeing any difference despite more time being attached to the pump. When she checked her flange fit and did some self-sizing in the course and also adjusted her settings a little bit, she realized that her flanges were too large and the suction was too high. Once she adjusted those two things, her milk went up by 2 ounces per session, and she didn't need to power pump at all. It was awesome. And she was able to troubleshoot this all on her own using our frameworks, which was even more incredible. So, is power pumping right for you? My answer is only after you've mastered efficient pumping. Power pumping is like running wind sprints. They can help, but only after you've learned to run with good form. If your pump isn't comfortable, if you're not sure your flange fits well, if you never seem to get multiple letdowns, then start there first. That will actually increase your supply more sustainably, not more hours attached by power pumping. If you're ready to finally understand your pump and make every session more comfortable, efficient, and productive, I'm gonna link below a webinar that we recently did on how to pump more milk in less time, which is probably the goal that you're looking for. I'm gonna walk you through every step of the proficient pumping pyramid, setting a customized schedule, how to do flange sizing, mastering your letdowns, pump settings, pump techniques, and then how to use your hormones to work with you, not against you. My goal really is to help you have a full picture of how to pump effectively and how to keep your milk supply strong without burnout. I want you to know what your body's capable of and know the easiest and simplest ways to get to your goals, hopefully without much power pumping. If this video helped you rethink your schedule and your pumping experience, give it a little like, make sure you're subscribed because we do pumping videos every single week. If you are currently pumping or that's going to be part of your life, you'll want to be subscribed. This is the sole focus of our channel. If you have any questions about power pumping, you're welcome to leave those in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy pumping.